I adopted a boy in the second year of our marriage due to my husband's erectile dysfunction. When the child was 7 years old, I overheard his friend saying, "Leo is actually your child with Valerie Sinclair? Won't your wife divorce you if she finds out?" Adrian Blackwood sneered. Divorce? She wouldn't dare leave me. It turns out he claimed to have erectile dysfunction and never touched me, just to stay faithful to his true love. Those once sweet memories flashed through my mind, only to be mercilessly torn apart in an instant. Just as I was about to collapse, a large hand caught me. It was Marcus Ryder, Adrian Blackwood's sworn brother. I happened to be standing outside the room where he was resting. I steadied myself, wanting to pull away from him. At that moment, the people downstairs seemed to be coming up, but that burning hand tightened around my waist. In a panic, Marcus Ryder actually pushed open Leo's door and pulled me inside. I gasped in shock. "Marcus Ryder, what are you doing?" Marcus Ryder's long fingers pressed against my lips as he leaned close to my ear and whispered, "Shh, sis-in-law, keep your voice down. Do you want to wake up your husband's love child?" I immediately covered my mouth and looked at Leo sleeping soundly on the bed. I glared at the troublemaker, who was clearly doing this on purpose. "Marcus Ryder, get out." At that moment, footsteps approached in the hallway. Adrian Blackwood walked in, reeking of alcohol. I lay on Leo's bed, pretending to be asleep, but the blanket in my hands was almost torn apart from my grip. I felt his warm breath getting closer and closer. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might explode. Then, I felt a brief warmth on my lips before it quickly moved away. I heard a barely audible sigh. I pinched my thigh, trying to hold back my nausea. He picked up the sleeping Leo and left the room. I vigorously wiped the spot he had touched, only to realize my hair was damp with tears. As if a switch had been flipped, tears began to pour down my face. Through my tear-blurred vision, I remembered the time before marrying Adrian Blackwood. He told me he had erectile dysfunction and asked if I could accept it. I nodded with tears in my eyes, simply because I loved him. I watched him fall in love with Valerie Sinclair, then part ways as they pursued different paths. Their relationship ended completely when Valerie Sinclair went abroad. I accompanied him as he emerged from the depths of heartbreak. Whenever he needed me, I was willing to go through fire and water, overcoming all obstacles to be by his side, giving my true heart in exchange for his. After years together, he finally agreed to marry me. I was overjoyed, so excited that I couldn't sleep all night. As long as it was him, I didn't care about anything else. In the second year of our marriage, I returned home after a month-long business trip. Suddenly I found an extra child in the house and asked Adrian Blackwood whose child it was. Adrian Blackwood lowered his head to explain. I couldn't see his expression clearly at the time. "Zoe Lancaster, this is a child I adopted. I know you've always loved children, but because of my condition, I couldn't let you become a mother. I'm sorry for that. So I decided to adopt one, as a surprise for you. Zoe Lancaster, are you upset with me?" Even now, I still remember the guilty look on his face, as he carefully raised his head and asked if I would blame him. At that time, I was so moved that I threw myself into his arms, my tears soaking his white shirt. I also forgot about that fleeting sense of oddness. I was worried he would feel sad and insecure about not being able to have children. Actually, as long as I could spend my life with him, what did it matter if we never had children? Marcus Ryder had somehow appeared beside me. Seeing my tear-stained face, his eyes instantly turned icy cold. He roughly pulled me to the window and turned my head to look outside. "Zoe Lancaster, guess where he's going so late at night with his love child?" Adrian Blackwood's usual car was on the driveway outside. In a moment, even the shadow of the car was out of sight. "He's done all this, and you're still crying your heart out for him. Zoe Lancaster, tell me, what's so great about Adrian Blackwood? But when you like someone, you just like them. It can't be defined by good or bad." At that moment, I was incredibly calm. I begged Marcus Ryder to take me somewhere. "You know where he went, don't you?" Marcus Ryder took me to a villa complex. In the dead of night, through the huge floor-to-ceiling windows, I saw a cozy family of 3 inside. But my heart felt like thousand-year-old ice, bone-chillingly cold. I numbly walked closer, reaching the doorway. I gently pushed the door that wasn't fully closed, making the gap wider. I heard laughter and conversation from inside. "Adrian Blackwood, thank you for bringing Leo to see me, but won't Zoe Lancaster mind? If necessary, I can explain everything to her. After all, we were drunk that time. It wasn't until I got pregnant that I remembered we forgot to use protection. Based on Leo's age, they must have met after our wedding. Perhaps they had met more than once, while I was completely unaware. I should have anticipated all this, but hearing it firsthand was a different matter entirely. That broken heart had now turned to ashes. Valerie Sinclair seemed to remember something else, and assured Adrian Blackwood, "But don't worry, I won't take Leo away. I just miss him so much. Could you let me see him a few times a month, to satisfy this mother's heart? You know, Leo will be my only child in this life. Is that okay, Adrian Blackwood?" Adrian Blackwood had his back to the door. After a long silence, he finally spoke. "You're his birth mother, of course you can." Valerie Sinclair collapsed into Adrian Blackwood's arms. He looked at her, their eyes meeting, and the atmosphere instantly became intimate. Their bodies, already close together, now ignited with passion, their breaths intertwined, lips meeting. The deep, heavy breathing grew stronger. When Adrian Blackwood finally pulled away from Valerie Sinclair's lips, he gently wiped away the glistening moisture on her full, swollen lips. Valerie Sinclair's gaze followed his every move. She held the large hand that was on her lips and tentatively asked, Adrian Blackwood, I can feel that you still have feelings for me. I'm not asking for status, I just hope that in my final days, you can be with me. I won't ruin your relationship with Zoe Lancaster. As she spoke, Valerie Sinclair couldn't help but cough a few times. Adrian Blackwood looked at her, his eyes full of pain and guilt. He held her in his arms like a fragile, priceless treasure. He looked as if he wanted to bear her suffering himself, urgently saying, Okay, I promise you, I'll promise you anything. Leo and I will be with you every day, but you have to get better soon. Didn't you want us to be a family of 3 forever? As long as you get better, I'll marry you. I pulled my hand away from the door, no longer wanting to watch their loving embrace. I turned to leave. I had lost, completely and utterly. I had only walked a short distance when my feet stumbled and darkness engulfed my vision. When I woke up again, I was in the hospital. Marcus Ryder was keeping watch by my bedside. His features were handsome and refined, with slightly upturned phoenix eyes that were long and deep. After resting in the hospital for 2 days, I decided to go back home first. Some things had to be faced eventually. A week passed, then another. Adrian Blackwood finally brought Leo back, along with Valerie Sinclair. The moment he saw me, he withdrew his hand from her waist. Adrian Blackwood walked over. Before he even got close, I could already smell the unfamiliar women's perfume on him. He put his arm around my waist and brushed away a few strands of hair that had fallen. As he was about to kiss my forehead, I reflexively turned my head away. My stomach churned, and I pushed both of them away, immediately running to the bathroom to vomit. I kept retching until even the acid water was gone, before I finally calmed down. I went back to the bedroom to rest for a while. Adrian Blackwood pushed open the door to explain, Honey, Valerie Sinclair is back. She's sick, and has no one to take care of her. I paused, looking at him, waiting for him to continue. She's sick, and might not live much longer. Given our past friendship, I want to fulfill her last wish. I tried my best to keep smiling, trying not to look too repulsive. I asked him, what wish? He said, I promised Valerie Sinclair that we would have a wedding ceremony. Didn't he realize how absurd and ridiculous his words sounded? My husband wanted to have a wedding ceremony with his dying true love. I laughed wildly, laughing so hard that tears almost came out. After I calmed down, I said, Adrian Blackwood, let's get a divorce. This way, everyone won't have to be uncomfortable. What do you think? The door wasn't closed, and our voices carried outside. At this moment, Valerie Sinclair walked in, her face pale, timidly, with a sob in her voice. Adrian Blackwood, forget it. I'm already a dying person anyway. It doesn't matter. Don't argue because of me. I'll leave now. Seemingly trying to make amends, but actually adding fuel to the fire. She said she wanted to leave, but her feet didn't move. She was secretly observing Adrian Blackwood's expression. Adrian Blackwood first comforted her and made a promise. Valerie Sinclair, don't go. I'll do what I promised you. Turning his head, his face darkened as he said to me, You want to divorce me? I nodded. I took out the divorce agreement I had prepared in advance and placed it in front of him. Adrian Blackwood's gaze froze in midair, as if struck by lightning. Finally, he murmured, You knew everything? I knew everything I needed to know. The next second, Adrian Blackwood immediately took the divorce agreement and signed his name without hesitation. Adrian Blackwood threw the signed agreement on the floor. His tone hinted at anger as he said sternly, This month, Leo and I will accompany Valerie Sinclair. Zoe Lancaster, I hope you can calm down and think clearly during this time, rather than acting on impulse. Whether you believe it or not, things between Valerie Sinclair and me are innocent. If you still want to divorce after that, then so be it. But what he didn't know was that I was already very calm. If I had just acted on impulse, I would have exposed their affair on the spot that day, instead of enduring until today. Adrian Blackwood, from now on, you and I are strangers, with no connection whatsoever. I took the signed agreement and walked out the front door with my already packed luggage. Leo still thought I was going on another business trip and obediently saw me off. I forced myself to harden my heart and not look at him again. If only he wasn't their child. But there are no if-onlys. I moved into the apartment I had bought for myself in a different neighborhood. A month later, I met Adrian Blackwood again at a business banquet, with Valerie Sinclair by his side. At this moment, my heart was as still as water. I was just purely curious about the person who had said she was dying. Now at the banquet, she was full of energy, socializing effortlessly, like a fish in water. She didn't look like a sick person at all. I wanted to look closer, but suddenly felt a chill down my spine. The hand around my waist tightened. Marcus Ryder's ominous voice sounded in my ear. What? Want to reminisce with your ex-lover? Marcus Ryder, what are you being neurotic about now? Ridiculous. Just because we slept together a few times, this man started to get serious. I glared at him, and he sheepishly rubbed his nose. When I left for a while to get some food, I came back to see Adrian Blackwood, with Valerie Sinclair chatting with Marcus Ryder. Marcus Ryder, congratulations. Everyone's curious about what your sister-in-law looks like. She must be very beautiful to catch your eye, right? Marcus Ryder was facing my direction and openly admitted, Of course, she's also the woman I've liked for many years. Marcus Ryder was in high spirits, his face beaming with a smile. As it happens, my fiancée is here. Let me introduce her to everyone, but you all know her already. Marcus Ryder walked past them, heading in my direction.